She called in sick again Monday. This time she didn't feel guilty about it. She had been on her kitchen floor for an unknown length of time. The clock read 11:47 when she finally managed to get upright. Somewhere between 1 and 2 hours. The crossing had taken something from her that sleep alone was not going to return. Her hands shook for the first 3 hours. Not dramatically, not enough to drop anything. A fine, continuous tremor she felt most clearly when she held her mug of tea and watched the surface of the liquid vibrate. She recognized it as the physical aftermath of something the body had not been designed for. The machine protesting its misuse. The kettle had boiled dry. She'd noticed that after she came back, the element burning hot, the kitchen holding the faint smell of scorched metal. She unplugged it. Small, sequential tasks, evidence of continuing function. Her right hand had stopped tingling by midnight. She was sorry when it did. She slept through Monday and most of Tuesday without making any further decisions about it. The body took what it needed with the straightforward authority of something that did not negotiate. And what it needed, apparently, was unconsciousness. On Tuesday afternoon, she woke fully, with the particular clarity of someone who had slept past the point of dreaming and arrived somewhere clean on the other side. She thought about his hand. She had not stopped thinking about it, even in sleep. His hand, the cold of it, that was not only cold. The length of those fingers, the way the shadows had receded from his skin when he'd extended it toward her, as if proximity to her warmth had clarified him, solidified him into something more comprehensively real than he was at a distance. The expression on his face when neither of them died. She put her feet on the floor and went to the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. The silver had moved. It was not confined to 3 or 5 strands at her left temple now. It had spread through the left side of her hair entirely, a gradient of ink black into something that was not gray, not the silver of age or stress, but a metallic, intentional silver, almost luminous in the flat light. Like the light from the void floor of the shadow realm had stayed caught in the pigment. It was striking in the way that damage was sometimes striking, interesting despite itself, almost beautiful in its wrongness. She looked at it for a long time. Then she braided her hair, pulling the silver and black together without attempting to segregate them, and went to the kitchen to boil water in a pot because the kettle was dead, and made coffee, and stood at the window and watched the harbor, and waited, because she knew, with the same bone certainty she'd been learning to trust, that she wouldn't be waiting long. He came at dusk. She felt him before she heard him, before she saw him, before there was any physical evidence of him whatsoever, felt the cold shift, the constant signal in her chest modulating from its held note into something more complex. The way a single sustained tone became a chord when another note joined it. She set her coffee mug down on the kitchen counter with careful precision and turned around. He was standing in the corner of her living room where the shadow was deepest, between the bookcase and the window, where the dusk light didn't reach. He occupied the dark there the way he occupied the dark of the shadow realm, not as a feature of it, but as its source, as the thing the dark organized itself around. But here, in the cramped and salt-damp and very human space of her apartment, he was more solid than she had seen him, more present, as if crossing into her territory had compressed him into greater definition, forced the shadows to commit. She could see his face.
You could have knocked.
Could I?
Most people knock.
I am not most people.
No, you're demonstrably not. How long have you been able to do this? Come into the living world?
I move between realms. It is what I am.
That's not an answer.
No, it is not. I came to understand what happened.
What did happen?
You crossed, without dying. Living things do not cross without dying. The act of crossing kills them, or the realm does, or I do, one of the three.
But I didn't.
No,
And you touched me, and that didn't kill me either.
no, it did not.
Has that ever happened before? Anyone touching you and surviving?
No.
So, I'm an anomaly.
You are considerably more than that. What are you aware of? About what you are?
Terminal.
The shadow sickness?
Yes, you knew that already.
Yes.
For how long?
I have been aware of you for some time.
That's a genuinely alarming thing to say.
Nevertheless.
How long is some time?
Years. Your threshold sensitivity made you perceptible, in the way that very few living things are perceptible from the other side of the membrane.
You've been watching me for years. I want to be clear that in any ordinary context, that's deeply unsettling.
We are not in an ordinary context.
No, we're really not. What do you want? Coming here. Are you here because you've come to collect, and the crossing accelerated whatever was happening to me, and you're just…
Number.
Then what?
I came because I needed to understand what you are to me.
And?
I don't yet have an answer that is complete.
That's the most honest thing anyone has said to me in weeks.
You are not afraid of me.
I'm afraid of a lot of things. I'm afraid of being in pain at the end. I'm afraid that what comes after is nothing. I'm afraid that I'll lose Gemma's friendship, because watching someone die is its own kind of loss, and I've seen what it does to people. But you, specifically, no. Not in the way I should be.
Why not?
Because you've been with me in every dead room for 6 years. Not you specifically, maybe, but what you represent. I've been working in your shadow my whole career, and I never went sideways on it. I think I decided, somewhere in the first year of night shifts, that if I was going to stand over the dead, then I couldn't be afraid of what took them. It would be contradictory.
You are a very strange woman.
I work nights in a mortuary, and I have shadow sickness, and I've apparently been on a death god's radar for years. Strange is the least of it.
What are you want?
Time. I want to be here. Not here specifically, not necessarily in this apartment in this city. I don't know what form I want the time to take, but I want it. I am not finished. I know that's not how it works. I know the sickness is what it is, and that there's nothing on the medical side that changes the outcome. I know you're what you are. And what you are doesn't do extensions. Does it?
Not ordinarily.
But…
You are not an ordinary case, as has been established.
Are you saying there's something you could do about it?
I am saying, what happened between us, what happened when you crossed, when you touched, has no precedent in the entirety of my existence. And I am old enough that no precedent is itself a significant category. There are mechanisms, ancient ones, ways in which the living and the dead have, in the oldest mythologies of every culture you have ever lived within, been bound to one another across the membrane. I have never considered them applicable.
But now you're considering it.
I am here.
You should know that I don't do anything blindly. Whatever you're talking about, whatever these mechanisms are, I need to understand what it costs and what it means and what it makes me before I agree to it. I'm not saying no, I'm saying I'm not saying yes without information.
Yes. What is your name?
Noelle Storm.
Azrael,
Azrael.
I should go.
And you should come back.
Yes.
She stood in her living room for a long time after. The harbor buoys rang in the dark outside. The fog sat on the water. The cold in her chest held its new note, warm cold and constant. The signal that had found its receiver and was no longer searching. On the kitchen counter, forgotten, her coffee had gone entirely cold. She picked it up and drank it anyway, and thought about ancient mechanisms, and about names exchanged in narrow rooms, and about the specific weight of a word like ordinarily, when it is spoken by something that has been alive long enough to know the full meaning of the exception. She thought about how she'd told him what she wanted. She thought about how he'd stayed to hear it. That night she dreamed of starlight, and when she woke, there were 7 silver hairs at her temple, and her right hand was warm. Not tingling, warm. She pressed it flat against her sternum and felt her heart beating, stubborn and steady.
Yes. Come back. I have more questions.